tell when you are buying you be more careful, do you can find.
Stay connected all day, every day. WhatsApp us anytime. 727-4474. The Wave, 94.5 and 93.7 FM. The home of modern music.
Get your praise from someone else.
I made no promises.
One kiss is all it takes. If a girl touch me not say me nah
But
be
you
that.
tell when you are buying you be more careful, do you can find.
Stay connected all day, every day. WhatsApp us anytime. 727-4474. The Wave, 94.5 and 93.7 FM. The home of modern music.
Get your praise from someone else.
I made no promises.
One kiss is all it takes. If a girl touch me not say me nah
But
be
you
that.
tell when you are buying you be more careful, do you can find.
Stay connected all day, every day. WhatsApp us anytime. 727-4474. The Wave, 94.5 and 93.7 FM. The home of modern music.
And it's another great Tuesday, a powerful Tuesday. It's time for Behind the Business here on The Wave, and that's brought to you compliments Courts Ready Cash. Always ready when you are. If you need some money, whether it's for bills, back to school stress that you may be experiencing right now, repairs, an emergency, you need a new car, you need to start up a business, it don't matter. Courts Ready Cash is here to give you the money you need now. You could get up to $20,000. No deposit is required, and the service is always fast and hassle-free, same-day approval. All you need to do is to provide one form of government ID, your job letter, recent salary slip, and a utility bill, and you're good to go. You could visit any court's location, or you could apply online, even more convenient. That's www.readyfinancecaribbean.com, and you could start fresh with the cash you need. Courts Ready Cash, ready when you are. It's time for Behind the Business today, and we're going behind a non-profit organization, and I think this is the perfect time to talk about this mental health, especially with all that's we're all experiencing on different levels during COVID, etc., etc. It is very important to bring that awareness to light. So we're happy to have on the program today with us. She is a mental health advocate and an aspiring motivational speaker. She's quite good at it already. We're happy to go behind the business of Mindfulness by Awaken, and we are joined by mental health advocate Nadia Jules. Thank you so much for joining us today, Nadia.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and we're excited to talk about this one now. We do know in your bio on your social media platforms, Mindfulness by Awaken, connecting the dots to self-awareness. Awaken is a lifestyle. Mindfulness by Awaken is a safe space to bring awareness to mental health. And we're going to dive into that very, very soon. But first off, we want to know, who is Nadia? So thank you for joining us once again. Tell us a little about yourself.
Thank you. Nadia Jules, what should I say? She's a Libran, so this means this girl is a go-getter. Mm-hmm. She stands in her truth. And like you said, I'm an aspiring motivational speaker. I'm very passionate about mental health simply because of my personal experience with mental health, and also family and friends.
Mm-hmm. I think it's perfect that you mentioned that. A lot of people, I realize, that go into that field and try to share the information and awareness on the importance of mental health have all stemmed from personal experiences.
Oh,
so
definitely.
you really know
Yes.
what it is like, and you could relate to the situation even better. So Nadia, the go-getter, you are with us today. Tell us about Mindfulness by Awaken.
Okay, so Mindfulness by Awaken was birthed, like I said, from my personal experience. In 2019, I had a full meltdown. And most persons will consider, hey, this is not really a good thing, but I think it's the most wonderful thing that happened to me.
Wow.
Because I was able to sit with Nadia, sit with her demons, sit with her insecurities, and befriend them.
Wow.
Befriend them, not shun them away because hey, they are part of me. So to sit with them and understand them, because sometimes we think that parts of us should be hidden, but sometimes that same part of us is our fuel. So it's just a matter of understanding when and how and when to use that part of us.
Right. Now, you did say that you had somewhat of a breakdown. I think that comes in different types, different shapes, different forms. Maybe we've all gone through a breakdown and we haven't realized that that's exactly what we are experiencing. How would you define a breakdown? Some people consider having a breakdown as, you have to really hit rock bottom and be in this dark space, but it doesn't necessarily have to be so, right?
Well, for me, I think it was a serial events all through my lifetime, and at that point everything just crumbled. And I think it was part of it, losing my dream job and not being able to recoup. And sometimes we attach ourselves or we define ourselves to a position or to something or whatever it is that we define as success. And if that is gone, then our whole identity is gone. And that is one of the things that really triggered my breakdown. And also the fact that I wasn't aware for years that I was depressed. I wasn't aware for years that I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And at that moment, I think it was in January, everything just came down.
Yeah.
And for years my sister had been saying to me, Nadia, you should really seek counseling. I'm like, who are you telling you to seek counseling? Me? Not Nadia. Girl, I can pray, I can motivate myself, I can do all the things that I need to do. And don't forget, I'm a black woman, so I can handle pressure. Yes. I can handle the pressure. But no, I was only harming myself.
Wow.
So at that, I think probably in February, March, I literally made the decision. Well, I didn't have a choice because my sister says, you're not getting out of it this time. You need to go to seek counseling. And the first day I went to counseling, I was, first of all, happy that I didn't wear any makeup. Because I would have been the remix of Picasso's painting. It was a hot mess.
Wow.
I cried for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, non-stop crying.
And it wasn't something that you expected going in, I'm sure. You didn't think it would
we
have
hadn't
been
even
done.
started yet. We hadn't started when that whole crying session happened.
Wow.
I was just crying. And luckily, my therapist allowed me to cry, really allowed me to cry. And after that time, they both said, how are you feeling today? And I could not emote. I could not express the emotion because I didn't know. I said, I think I'm fine. I think I'm okay. And amazingly, they gave me this feeling wheel with all the emotions that I didn't know existed. And I think I took about half of the sad and depressing color of the wheel. And it's from then, I think, the first step began. I took the first step into self-healing. And again, connecting the dots.
Right. Now, with self-healing would come self-admittance. You have to understand that there's something wrong. You have to understand that, okay, I might need help. I'm at the stage where, like you said, a lot of us just say we could pray these things away.
Yes.
And still you're going through it. It's affecting you mentally, physically. It becomes draining. But you have to have that self-admittance before you could take any step to move forward and better your situation.
And it's also the stigma that if you're praying, then everything would be fine. So I got so many different prayers, so many different ways to pray. Then I started bashing myself. Maybe you're not strong enough. Maybe you're not spiritually strong enough. Maybe you need to do this. Maybe you need to do that. And yes, there is a spiritual component of us, but yes, there are different components of us that need that help.
Yeah.
And what happens is that your mental health, because it's so stigmatized, that if you consider you need mental health help or care, then you're considered weak.
It is so true. So Nadia, at that point, after you started your therapy sessions, at what point after did you decide to set up this organization, your nonprofit organization?
Well, with Mindfulness by Awaken, the name stemmed from late 2019, but me being active with the mental wellness, it was something that was going on long before that. So I did some decluttering campaigns with my friends and asked them to send me the clothes from their closets, and I would take it to the wellness center. We did some donations to the occupational department in different ways. But in late 2019, 2020, Mindfulness by Awaken with the name was born.
Okay. And what exactly does this organization do?
Well, our vision is to destigmatize mental health.
Okay.
Definitely destigmatize. And our mission is dedicated to building a diverse community of supporters to be the voice of mental health. So for the last couple of months, what we've done is part of that campaign, or part of my mandate, was to celebrate period poverty. And
Wow.
you
I
looked at me like, what?
Tell me about that. Period poverty.
Period poverty, believe it or not, affects women all over the world. And it's basically the ability to, or the inability rather, to afford the basic essentials of your menstrual cycle products. And that would stem from the products itself, from the physical structure to take care of yourself, the inability to attend work because you are sick. So everything that entails within that cycle, within your menstrual cycle, and the inability to maintain it could be considered as period poverty. And May 28th this year was celebrated. Well, it's an annual celebration, and where persons donate menstrual products. So this was my first campaign, and you're probably asking yourself, but period poverty and mental health? Well, yes, they do go hand in hand, simply because of the emotional and mental sometimes inability that you have when you go through your menstrual cycle. And it so happened that one of the activities we organized was a Zoom meeting with Dr. Lucilia Charles, my girlfriend. Awesome sauce.
She is awesome, yes.
And we did a really good tete-a-tete with the persons who were on that platform with us, and we had a heart-to-heart as to how our mental health could be impacted by our menstrual health, and our sexual health as well, not just your menstrual health, but your sexual health and how it impacts on your mental health. So persons don't realize how much your mental health impacts on so many different parts of your life. So for example, we have certain habits, certain tendencies that can determine how we make decisions.
Okay.
So, for example, our biases, different things, how we think, our beliefs can have an impact on our lifestyle, how we behave, our habits, our tendencies, things that we are conscious and unconscious of. So, hence, again, connecting the dots to self-awareness.
Now, have you been working with other organizations, or how were you able to execute that period poverty campaign that you mentioned?
Well, luckily for me, like I said, I'm a go-getter. So luckily for me, my first point of contact was with the public. So what I did was I set up a table at the boulevard, and I had persons donate sanitary napkins. And with that, I think I became more persons became more aware of the project, and so they extended a hand. I had Sagicor. I also had St.Lucia Hotel and Tourism come on board as well.
Nice.
And what we have done is identify other female organizations that would definitely need sanitary napkins on a regular basis. So the first distribution was done to Wellness Center. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks I could donate to the Bordelais facility and Uptown Girls Center and any other organizations, female-based organizations that would need sanitary napkins.
Right.
And I'm definitely looking to have it as an all-year
Project, yeah, because it is an all-year
It is an
issue.
all-year project.
Yeah.
So definitely.
What was the response like? Were you able to chat with any of the women who received the products, or the response from the organizations that you helped?
Well, the response from Wellness, I mean, I do have a cordial, a really purposeful relationship with them, and the young lady who received it on behalf of the Wellness Center was extremely happy. I have not had a direct contact with any of the persons, so for now it's just organizations that I'm
Right.
donating to.
Right. Now let's talk a little more about mental health, Nadia. Do you feel like there is enough being done in our country for mental health?
I
Is the
take a
awareness
deep
there?
breath. I take a deep breath because there's so much, first of all, there's so much stigma towards mental health. And we're talking about personal stigma and we're talking about population stigma. So when you see someone on the street, to you, your first thought is what? When you see a mental health person, it's like, get away from me. I don't want you near me. But just remember that this is a person. And to extend to that, I have a brother who is diagnosed with schizophrenia for over 20 years. And it's not just the stigma from the public, it's also stigma from the family as well, because again, mental health is stigmatized. So first of all, it's the stigma from culture stigma.
Okay.
Then I think you have insufficient community-based programs. It's mental health is underfunded. I'm saying, for example, if we look at the GDP, and if maybe 10% of the GDP is allocated to health, I'm just trying to wonder how much of it is allocated to mental health, to support those community-based projects, to even support the basic as campaigns, public campaigns, helping persons to understand mental health, destigmatize mental health. You also have the lack of forensic mental health, where you have persons maybe incarcerated with mental health issues. How much of support is given to them? You have families, for example, my family is coping with my brother and may not always be able to assist him. So you have a myriad of effects of mental health that has not been addressed and needs to be addressed, because a nation without proper mental health, we're not just talking about health, we're talking about mental health.
Yeah. There's a breakdown there. Nadia, what I would love is if you could break it down for us exactly what mental health is, because like you did say, it's a taboo subject. It's something people don't like to speak on, and I think people put it in this box where they see mental health as these unfortunate persons, like you said, that you see by the roadside or or persons who have already been diagnosed with a mental health problem, and they don't see it as, okay, you may be suffering from depression, these early stages that we may all be experiencing, and don't realize that this is classified as a mental health issue.
Very, very true. According to the World Health Organization, you have 1 out of every 4 persons in their lifetime will experience some type of mental health discord. 1 out of 4. And you can imagine with COVID what that rate is like. So I think when we think about mental health, the initial thought is psychotic, but it's not. It's the depression that you feel. And I'm starting to get emotional because
I could imagine, because you did say you experienced it for a while and you did not know that you were depressed.
Right.
And you were functioning as a normal person.
I'm highly
you were
functioning.
Nadia,
Highly functioning,
and
yes.
nobody knew.
And no one knew.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was depressed for so long. And so it just says to you that mental health is not what we think it is, as the psychotic, as the violent. It's a silent killer. It's the thing that we would sit and someone will cry themselves to sleep at night and come to work looking all happy and bushy, but
And
you have
nobody
no
knows,
idea what this person is going through.
Yeah.
So when we look at mental health, I want persons to really assess themselves and see, okay, how is my mental health status? What is going on with me? How am I handling stress? And should we even be handling stress? Sometimes we don't want to talk about, because we have such an illusion that we are all perfect and everything should be looking so cook and curry, but really deep down, things are going on. And it just goes out to say how this depression can go on, because at the age of 16, I attempted suicide. And I've had a lot of suicidal ideation. And if I did not go into counseling in 2019, I would have attempted it again.
Wow. And I was just about to bring that up, the correlation with mental health and suicides. A lot of the times we're hearing, and quite recent, it's been happening constantly, where you see these people where it shocks everybody because there was no sign that this person was going through something.
Right.
And nowadays you don't have to show what you're experiencing when you are going through it. Let me try to break that down again. When we see people take their lives, you're like, but this person was so joyous. You're so bubbly. I saw him yesterday and we were having a drink and he was so
happy. And his another statement is, I would never do that. I would never. You don't know the dark space that this person is in. I don't think there's a word to describe that dark space.
Right.
And we are so quick to judge instead of trying to empathize with that person. And let's not forget about the survivors' families. You know how hard they're taking it. What if I had seen? What if I have done that? They start blaming themselves.
Yeah.
So, and that is something that I'm very. Anytime I hear someone commit suicide or the word suicide, it really gets to my soul,
because you could relate to it.
That's right.
And there are a lot of things that get people in that dark space very quickly, especially like you said with COVID now. Financial stress, you have family issues where people may have to take care of their children. They don't have that financial support. It becomes a burden for them. You have a family stress, you have work stress, you have bills to pay, and it seems like a mountain that is ever growing. How would you I mean, it's a tough question for you, Nadia, but seeing that you've gone through it, how would you be able to advise persons to be able to take a step back and try to assess the situation and not see it as there is no tomorrow? How do we go through that?
Through therapy, I could say what I have learned. But prior to therapy, it was hard. it was hard to stop the thoughts. It was hard to not listen to the thoughts saying to you, you know what, there's no way out. This is the only way out. So I would say that talk to someone. I know Wellness Center does have a helpline. Call them, call a friend, sit and journal. A lot of people say, well, writing doesn't do it. Yes, it does a lot, because what you're doing is you're brain dumping. You're just dumping all your emotions on a book, and it gives you some kind of calming feeling. I still journal, and I still can write my thoughts and say, well, this is how I feel. And I think it's important to have a spiritual component. May not be the only component, but have a part of that spiritual component. It's also important to have mind the people who are around you. You know, try to keep positive people around you, and get persons who can give you sound advice, sound suggestions. And remember that your thoughts don't determine who you are. Like, you are chosen. And a lot of it, I think, stems from lack of self-love and lack of self-esteem. And it's hard to get to the self-love part, because, hey, I don't even like myself. How am I supposed to even love myself? And why? What's so good about me that needs to be loved? And it's amazing that how positive self-talk can make a difference. But then I would definitely say get someone to talk to.
Find someone.
Yes.
A lot of people have, and I've heard this time and time again, the family stress. You feel like you have to stay in the situation because it's your family. If it's toxic, you have to detach yourself from it. You would say that as well.
I'll definitely say that. Draw your boundaries. There are other organizations that will probably be able to assist, maybe with relocations. I think Birds of a Feather, they cater to young women. You have St.Lucia, cater to women. And of course, again, the Wellness Center hotline. And it's sad that a lot of the crisis centers cater to women and overlook men, when men have the highest rate of suicide as per the statistics from St. Lucia and even the Wellness Center. It's amazing to see how many young people are patients at the Wellness Center. So, go ahead.
Nadia, I wanted to ask you, what more is it that your organization will be doing, or that we can expect from you? I know after this interview, you'll get quite a few calls. With,
I hope so.
corporate entities looking to see how they could, possibly help you in your efforts to help the rest of St. Lucia by extension.
Definitely. What's next for us is that we definitely want to get registered with the Ministry of Social Transformation. Definitely. We are in the process of doing that. We want to identify and build strategic relationships with corporate entities to continue our, like I said, our public sanitary napkin donations, and of course to collaborate with a diverse community of mental health professionals and other related experts, because we really want to build our network, especially for campaigns, national awareness campaigns on mental health and any other projects that we can facilitate concerning mental health.
Okay. Nadia, somebody here asked whether mental health can also affect children.
Of course. Yes.
Yes. But
yes.
People don't realize it.
Yes.
So I'm happy somebody brought that
it
up.
does. It does. I've seen some very young children at the outpatient clinic at the Wellness Center. So, yes, we sometimes you see children and they have behavioral issues, and we hound them, we shout after them, we nag them, but we don't understand, hey,
They're going through
they're
something.
going through just as much as adults are going through, because hey, they are just mini people.
Yeah. And two, I think with all that happened during COVID for school kids, having to work at home in a different environment, having to go back to school one time, and then you can't socialize like you used to, then going back home and possibly your living environment is not the best environment to educate yourself. All these things stress the kids out.
Of course,
we
and
don't
that's
look at that.
and that is a stem of trauma as well. That could actually be a stem for a traumatic event, because anything that happens traumatically in your life, you may not necessarily record it as traumatic, but a part of you stores it in, and it just goes on and just snowballs. Then you act differently. You're not even realizing, hey, I'm acting differently, and that
and
is
it comes
the trigger.
out in all different ways. Yeah.
It just permeates right through. It just stems right through. So definitely, I think COVID is a traumatic event for a lot of persons.
Yeah. Is there a checklist that you went through after your personal experience? Something that we could do, the average person listening today in their vehicles, at work. We have that stress and we're not realizing, like you said, that it's starting to snowball. What do we do? Sit back later tonight or on the weekend and assess our situation, assess our mental health status, like you mentioned earlier, and see how we could pinpoint, okay, maybe I am going through a little depression. Maybe I do have something happening to me.
For me, one of the techniques I use, what I learned from therapy, again, is journaling. Journaling is so powerful. And also setting a routine with yourself. A routine, whether it be a morning routine or an evening routine. And you get up on the morning, you do your meditation, you have a cup of tea, you spend time with yourself. Hey, self, how are you doing today? Be honest. I am sad. Why am I sad? And the beauty about journaling is that there is no construct. There's no
I was just
reason.
about to ask, because I'm sure a lot of people like,
there's no-
okay, but how do I start, Nadia? What do
Just
we do?
take
Just take a pen
and paper
and start to write.
and girl, start writing like your life depended on it. And one of the techniques that we used was called 3 pages. And my therapist had me to sit. One of my homework was to sit and write 3 pages at home. And I could barely write one. I was like, what's this all about?
Okay.
So the following day I went to session, and she says, okay, Nadia, we're going to have a sit and we're going to write 3 pages. And she sat there until I wrote 3 pages back and front. And believe you me,
it came out.
it came out.
Wow.
And there's nothing that says you have to be grammatically correct. You must be chronologically correct in your statements. And no, it's nothing like that. It's just dumping everything that's in your head, dumping everything that's on your heart. Just dump. And it is a way of creative writing. It's a thought process. It's a creative thought process, because you won't believe the number of ideas that came from writing.
Wow.
Mindfulness was part of that.
Wow. Look
From
at
just dumping. So I was able again to connect the dots, because something I wrote previously a couple of months prior came back with us like, right, I could do this. And it's amazing how just journaling can do a lot.
Yeah.
And then again, you could assess your day. Hey, how was your day? Ask yourself, how was your day? Were you stressed today? What made you happy today? What made you sad today? What triggered you today? And these are the things that you could assess. And you can also do it in different aspects of your life. Your work life, your relationship, your spiritual life. So different components of your life, you can just spread it through. Another thing that made it very critical for me as well was time management.
Interesting.
What do you spend your time doing? How much time are you spending? Are you spending time or are you investing time? So
if we spend most of our time scrolling through Instagram and Facebook, y'all know
without purpose,
and they say a lot that seeing these things, seeing people posting their happy pictures,
and you and your
depression for others.
Exactly, and
but
you
people
think
don't post their dark times on social media. You have to remember that as well.
Exactly.
Sometimes you're doing it as therapy for themselves. And you don't realize it.
Exactly. So what are you investing your time in? So yes, you can do the social media, but how much time are you spending on social media, and what is the purpose? So are you doing some research for yourself? And there's so many websites that you could go on that you don't need to pay to do a course. You have Udemy, you have so many others. So instead of spending the hour going through your social media, how about investing an hour in yourself? Listen to an audiobook. Listen to a podcast. Change the little habits that pile up into with that does not have any returns on investment for your personal development.
Yeah. So more me time.
More me times. Invest in positive habits that you will get the results in, not now, but you'll see the results. You'll see the change in your behavior. You'll see the change in your thought patterns. You'll see. Now that doesn't mean that you wouldn't backslide.
Right. I'm happy you said that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that, hey, I'm sitting on a halo right now and I have everything going on. No, it doesn't mean that. It means that now you are aware, so that once you are trying to backslide or going through that backsliding stage, you could tell yourself, hey, it's happening.
You can catch yourself and fix it. Yeah, I love that. Nadia, what is your contact information that you'd like to share for persons who would like to reach you, who would like to collaborate with you and your organization?
Well, I am on Instagram and Facebook, Mindfulness by Awaken. You can contact me there. My email address is mindfulness.awaken@gmail.com.
All right, perfect. So you could get a hold of Nadia if you'd like to collaborate and work with her organization further. Nadia, you are so awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And all our listeners by extension. It's great to see that someone who is well put together, who is bubbly, who is full of joy,
is jacked up,
can go through or has gone through those moments, and you have seen the brighter side to everything.
Definitely.
So we really appreciate you sharing your story and using your pain as a purpose to help others as well. We truly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining us today. That's it. Behind the Business today brought to you compliments Quartz Ready Cash. And remember, if you do need the money and you need it now, Quartz Ready Cash can help you with same-day approval. You could get up to $20,000 and no deposit is required. So if you are a little stressed out back to school, you need to get the books and the uniforms and everything, don't have all the money now, Quartz Ready Cash is ready to help you out. You can check them out at any of their locations, or you can log online quite conveniently at readyfinancecaribbean.com. Quartz Ready Cash, ready when you are.
Did you know that Quartz Ready Cash offers credit protection insurance on loans? With credit protection insurance on your loan, if you're made redundant
of modern music.
Get your praise from someone else.
I made no promises.
One kiss is all it takes. If a girl touch me nah say me nah
What
be
you
that.
tell when you are buying you, be more careful, do you can find
Stay connected all day, every day. WhatsApp us anytime. 727-4474. The Wave, 94.5 and 93.7 FM. The home of modern music.
Get your praise from someone else.
I made no promises.
One kiss is all it takes. If a girl touch me nah say me nah
What
be
you
that.
tell when you are buying you, be more careful, do you can find